A tragic shooting accident in his youth left Jim Langevin paralyzed from chest to toe. But the debilitating accident was not enough to slow him down. In the 25 years since, Jim Langevin has achieved many milestones leading him to a powerful seat in the House of Representatives.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker.
Jim Langevin represents Rhode Island in the United States Congress. He's the first quadriplegic to attain such a level of public service as an elected official.
When I first got elected to Congress, it was definitely one of the most exciting days of my life, and it was still, and still is now, in a sense, hard to believe that I'm actually there. I've got to pinch myself when I go to work in the morning, and when I'm there in the Capitol. You look around at the history of the Capitol and all those people that have come before me. The one thing that is especially challenging about my job is that there's so much packed into the course of one day. I'm constantly on a time schedule. I am forever late. It never seems to fail. That for one reason or another, you're behind schedule.
Jim Langevin has 15 minutes to make it from his office to the Capitol for a vote. On foot, the trip is made in a few minutes. The wheelchair route, considerably more circuitous. But the logistics of staying on schedule is a welcome challenge for Jim, considering the tests he's faced to get here. It's a journey that began when he was only 16 and had volunteered as a cadet at a police station in his hometown of Warwick, Rhode Island.
Hey guys, what's going on?
I remember the day of my accident pretty vividly. I was getting ready to go on my shift. It was August 22nd, 1980. I was with another cadet.
Jim and his fellow cadet were in the station's locker room, along with two officers. One of the officers had just purchased a new weapon and was showing it to the other.
Yeah, it's light.
It was a .45 semi-automatic. He was just examining the gun. The bullet clip was out of the gun, and he didn't realize that there was a bullet in the chamber.
Tragically, the misfired bullet rebounded off a locker and hit Jim in the neck.
I don't really remember, per se, getting hit by the bullet. I can remember waking up in the hospital. I was in the emergency room. I thought I was dreaming. I said, I'm at home in my bed. This is a dream. I know I'm going to wake up from this, and I'm going to be okay. And then I started piecing it together, and I said, oh my God, I've been shot. That's when it really became clear what had happened. But at the time, even then, I wasn't aware of how extensive the damage was.
It would take doctors several hours to stabilize Jim's condition and assess the damage. Later that night, the doctor met his parents and told them the tragic extent of the injury.
I just kept saying to myself, don't lose it, don't lose it. This is keep it together. I just figured I'd get hysterical, and I just calmed myself down.
The bullet had entered Jim's neck to the right of his Adam's apple, severing his spinal cord between the 5th and 6th cervical vertebrae. Jim was now a quadriplegic. He would have no use of his legs and only very limited use of his arms.
We had no idea what a quadriplegic was. We had no exposure to anyone that had this type of problem, and we just felt that, it could be fixed somehow. And then when that doctor came in and said, this is the deal, and we just had visions of Jim just not being able to do anything. And my husband and I came home, and I can remember my husband breaking down. He says, how can he even survive with the type of injury he's got? How can he have a life?
Jim's parents' most immediate challenge was communicating with their 16-year-old son.
He couldn't talk because he had tubes in his throat, and and you could see he wanted to say something, and we couldn't understand what he was saying. So we came up with an idea of getting a blackboard that had like the alphabet on it. And we just said to him, you know, when we point to a letter that you want to spell a word, just blink so we'll know. And that's what we did. And the first thing he said was, "It was an accident, don't blame the officer."
I was never angry at the police officers that were involved in this accident. You know, I didn't know what was happening to me or whether I was going to live or die, or this wasn't intentional. It was, you know, a freak thing that happened.
Under the advice of his doctor, Jim was not immediately told the full extent of his injuries.
I started asking questions. You know, why can't I feel my legs? You know, why can't I move? You know, what's happened to me? And the nurse told me what had happened, and it was pretty devastating. It was a lot for a 16-year-old kid to come to terms with. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
As days turned into weeks, Jim would have to face the terrible realities of his new life. Not only was his dream of becoming a police officer over, but he would now have to manage all the obstacles to independence that his injury presented.
There has to be some reason that this happened in Jim's life, I don't know. My husband and I both said, if he could only find a passion in life to do something with his life, make life worthwhile.
Jim's parents found they were not alone in wanting the most for him. The entire community of Warwick rallied together and raised $40,000 to make the Langevins' home wheelchair accessible, in the hope that this promising teenager might continue to make his way in the world.
People were just encouraging me to, you know, to do something positive with my life.